Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Do you remember where that quote came from? Star Wars. And Obi-Wan said that to Anakin. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. So what does that actually mean? Absolutes. Yesterday we talked about the relationship between light and dark and the extreme ends, and about not eradicating an end but finding the balance in the two. And so the quote, only a Sith deals in absolutes. Absolutes, that can be either way. That can be light or dark, the two extremes. If we only focus on the one, that's an absolute. If you say, I'm an optimist, I'm a positive thinker, I don't have any negative thoughts, that's an absolute. If you say, I'm just a depressed person, everything's terrible, I don't feel good, it's never gonna get better, that's an absolute. So either end, if we focus, it doesn't work. So I had a mentor that would say 180 degrees from not working is still not working. It's finding the balance. So today, what if you found out that everything you thought was true, everything you held to be your foundation, everything that you thought you knew and was certain, what if today you found out that it wasn't true? How quickly could you pivot? Or would you feel like your world just fell apart and it was over? So this is where it's important to be able to sway, to be able to bend, right? So there's a saying about being like a willow, that when the wind blows, it dances, whereas an oak tree that just breaks. And so it's important for us to not hold so tightly to things, because you may find that that belief you had just wasn't true, or it was based in some false information. This happens all over the place. We're seeing that today. So many people are losing hope because what they thought was true is unraveling. So today I invite you to be open, to be still, to be flexible, and to be willing to pivot. Principles are true. So the principle of opposites, the law of opposites, we talked about that yesterday. That's a true principle. There is opposition in all things. That means there are extreme ends. But then it's finding the balance. That's a true principle, that will guide you no matter where you go, who you are, where you live in the world. That will stick with you. The seasons, the principle of seasons, the law of seasons, that things come in a season, that there's the spring, there's the summer, there's the harvest, there's the winter, right? That is a true principle, that it doesn't matter where you go, who you are, how you live, there's going to be seasons that come and go. The principle of control, that you only have any control over your conscious thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. You can't control the weather. You can't control your neighbors. You can't control your children. And anytime we try to control things outside of our control, we are breaking the principle. We are out of control, and that leads to frustration. So identify universal laws and principles that are true all the time. And as you notice with those principles, it encompasses all, the light and the dark, the positive and the negative, right? Like the law of opposites with that magnet. As soon as you cut a magnet in half, you still have the positive and the negative charge. And so today, how open are you? If you were to find out that everything you thought was true and it was gone, would you survive? That can be a very, very difficult time to go through. It is something I went through 5 years ago is when it started, and it's taken me close to 6 years now when I'm finally getting my feet back under me. I'm starting to thrive again. But I went through a deep valley where everything that I thought I knew unraveled, even down to my belief in God, who I thought God was. There were some aspects of that were false, that were not true, and those had to be removed in order for me to live in alignment with what works best, with the universal laws, with the principles, with truth. And it was difficult. It was very difficult, where I felt like everything was over. I felt aloof. I felt numb, like everything was just surreal. I felt disconnected, alone through that period. And I've since seen several people go through that. I've got some dear friends who are starting that journey right now too. And it's a difficult time to be in. And so I invite you today to be open, to recognize that what you hold to be true for you, you know, some of these beliefs, these ideals, these ideas that you have about life, they may not be true. And if they're not, what does that mean? Right? Right now, there's so much division going on in the world, and they're extremes. And so you hear one side saying, oh, we need to cut off the other side, and the other side saying we need to cut off the other side. But what did we talk about yesterday? That's not the way. It's about finding balance. So are you at peace? Are you open? Can you live in a state of love and respect, even when confronted with ideas that are different than your own? Recognizing that there's a greater purpose, which is respect, love, connection, openness. You see, I believe in the human family. I believe in you. I believe that you are a miracle, and that you have a purpose, and that you are here for a reason. Regardless of what you've done, regardless of where you're at in your life, we make mistakes. We do. But where's your heart? Do you want to learn? Do you want to grow? Do you want to love? I think that's truly the most important part in this life, is learning to love, learning to have compassion, learning to understand, to seek to understand ourselves and those around us. It's a complex life. There's a lot. You know, I've been alive for almost 4 decades, and I've learned and grown. My life has unfolded differently than how I expected as a child, right? And things keep happening, things keep changing. And so learning to be in a state of openness, being able to pivot, being able to be flexible, and letting go of things that you have no control over, and allowing yourself to be present, to take a few deep breaths, to ground yourself in this present moment, and to be okay. I see you, and I'm grateful for you. So if today's message was for you, go and like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with those that you think would benefit. That would really help getting the message out. Share it in your comments, in the comments below. How are you doing with this? If you had experiences where you were certain that you knew the truth, but then it shifted, how did you get through that change? How did you get through that transition of going from one absolute to being more flexible and balanced? And sometimes maybe we go from one absolute to the other. We bounce back, and then it's then coming back to the middle. How was your journey in that, and what have you found that works for you? You know, let's share, let's support one another here. I'm grateful for you, and I'm here to give you a little bit of hope to help you cope with today. So thank you for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.